guardian or vanquisher. Depends on who tells the story.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and we are so happy to have you join Teen Retro. So, as a writer, there are certain characters and stories that you just can't shake, and you lie awake at night thinking about them, and Retro is one of those characters who just won't relent until we tell his story.
I know I'm being hunted. I just can't seem to remember why. My life is a puzzle. There's so many missing pieces, I can't begin to put it together.
Retro started as a short film, and my buddy Don inked the storyboards, which were so cool I turned them into a short animated film that played at film festivals.
Hi, I'm comic book artist Don Nguyen. I created Pablo the Gorilla, which funded on Kickstarter. I've been part of over a dozen Kickstarter campaigns, and I'm a Marvel Upper Deck sketch artist. I'm so proud to bring you this new project that I'm involved in called Retro. I think the artwork is fantastic. It has a bunch of stuff that I've never done before and that I hope you've never seen before in a comic. And I think you're going to love it. The comic is filled with action, adventure, intrigue. If you're a fan of things like Memento, Looper, sci-fi projects like Blade Runner, this is going to be the project for you. So I hope you're able to join us.
The story about a drifter puzzling together his past was so intriguing, it attracted top talent to a live-action short.
I know I'm being hunted. I just can't seem to remember why. Who am I? The hero or the villain?
Your contribution will help us expand Retro into a comic book that explores the riddle of his life, and also the lengths a father would go to save his son.
All right, welcome back to the show. Today we're going to be talking about another Kickstarter that at the time that this airs will have just started. It is Retro number 1. It is by the creative team of Aaron Lindenthaler and returning guest. I'm just going to go ahead and bring them in here so that we can say hi to them and they can introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Aaron, the writer.
And I am Don Nguyen. Glad to be here again. I can't get enough of the show.
Third time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since we've found out a little bit about your background in comic books, let's find out about Aaron. Do you remember, maybe the first book that you read or the first one that kind of got you interested in the medium?
Yeah, so I was around a lot of comic books as a kid, but nothing really sparked an interest for me personally. But I was big time into Dungeons and Dragons. And then a friend of mine was reading this book called Elf Quest. And Elf Quest is about a clan of different elves living out there, and it's kind of a soap opera kind of story, but it's really cool comic book. And I just tore through it. There's something about it that I really loved. And so that was my first introduction to comic book world.
So what do you remember maybe, what made you want to, start writing comic books yourself?
Well, so it took me a long time to get that idea in my head. I originally went to film school and was writing screenplays. When you're a kid, if you're not necessarily really good at kickball or, science whiz, for me, though, there was something about words and writing that I felt like I could do. And I remember winning My Mom is the Best Because contest in Santa Barbara, California, and we got to ride in the parade. and that was just my first little hint that maybe, I could do this sort of word slinging thing. And, in doing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, I love building worlds and telling stories that way. And I've always been a huge a fan of art. And so it took me a while, though, to get the idea that comic books could be something that I could help create. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I originally started writing screenplays and other things of that nature, short stories. And it wasn't really until I met Don that I got turned on to the idea that comic books could be a really cool way to open the world of retro, which was this idea that I had in my mind. And it's been a learning process to figure out how to write comic books. And, Don can attest to that, no doubt. But I'm so glad I did, because it's really a medium that I think is very exciting to tell the story in, and it's very visual, and I just love it.
Oh, cool. So Don, anything that you haven't told us about yourself in the past your past 2 visits that maybe that would apply would kind of apply to this project? Or
I was gonna say, growing up as a kid, I actually was very good at science and at kickball, and drawing. So unfortunately, I can't identify with Aaron on that part, because I love kickball a lot. No, this project, Aaron comes from a very film, television, like screenwriting background, but he was so excited to jump in and to create comics, because basically, I feel like in reading comics and discovering comics, as he mentioned, he's got that indie background with ElfQuest. So shout out to the Peony family and ElfQuest. And indie fans know of ElfQuest, and it's got a dedicated cult following. But I feel like, in our talks, because originally how this project started was Aaron came to me and was like, hey, I have this project, and you've been doing these daily doodles, because I used to run a daily sketch blog from my phone. And he asked me if I'd be interested in helping out. And I'd done character designs before, and I've done storyboarding before from my phone. And, Aaron being a friend, I know him through my wife, Zlata. I was like, yeah, man, let me know about your project. And he sent me the script, and I read it, and I was like, oh, man, this is such a good idea. And I feel blessed. I feel like I've just, people that are friends that have amazing content have just been coming to me and asking if I want to collaborate. And there's no greater joy and honor, especially for me, in terms of just making comics come to life with my friends and, with people I like, whose stories I enjoy. That's a huge thing for me. And yeah, so we did the storyboards, and then Aaron gave me the oddest request. So usually when you see storyboards, they're like rough pencil storyboards. The finest you might see it might get inked a little bit, or it might go to fine pencils. He just asked me if I could finish them, and I was like, yeah, I could. And okay. And he was like, here's the idea. If you can finish them in ink and color and make it black and white, I think I can animate this into a sort of animatic or short. And that's basically what he did. So he took our storyboards that were finished, and he wove it all into essentially a motion comic, and he presented it as a short film. And he had, an amazing voiceover cast come on and lay down their talent. And then he was able to get it into one of the longest running film festivals here in Los Angeles, Dances with Film. So in 2019, we debuted at the famous Hollywood Chinese Grauman Theaters with our short film. And it just kind of took a life of its own from there. And we were like, Aaron and I sat down and talked about it. He's like, I really think this would make a great graphic novel. And I was like, unfortunately, with my time, I don't think that's possible. We're going to have to break this up into chunks. And me being a comic book fan, I love floppies. I currently have 20 short boxes that I haven't even gone to. I'm just buying floppies at this point. But that's always been a love of mine. I really enjoy that single issue format. And I enjoy trade paperbacks too, and graphic novels. But there's just something about like waiting on that next issue to come along. And we looked for story breaks in his script, and for this first issue in particular, I think we ended on a really good note that lends itself to comic book storytelling and that page turn. I hope everybody will really enjoy this. If you're listening out there, you haven't heard the pitch yet. If you're a fan of movies like Looper, the Jason Bourne series, Memento, if you love comics by Ed Brubaker, like his Criminal series, or like Stray Bullets with David Lapham, I think you're really going to love this book. Like Aaron said, he's really interested in world building and the depth of character, and I feel like he's really gone all in on this one, and you can really tell from the storytelling, and hopefully what I bring in terms of the art, I hope I've done his script justice. And yeah, we can't wait for you guys out there listening to this to see it. Check out the Kickstarter page, which is at whoisretro.com. That's all together, whoisretro.com. And we feel we're really bringing something that I don't think has really been seen. It's definitely been done, but in terms of one of the components of time travel, I think we're doing something a little bit different, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, one of the things that was great about the film festival is that before that, it was just basically Don and I saying, "Oh, this is cool. We like it. We don't really know." And then all of a sudden, it's on this gigantic screen in a packed theater, and people were really responding to it, and that just filled us with this energy and excitement. And people were coming up and wanting to know, what's going, where are you guys going with this?
Yeah.
So, yeah, here we are.
So, I mean, you've kind of already given kind of like the background of the concept, but what would you say would be the pitch? What's the overall story about? Who are the main characters?
Yeah, you want me to start it this time, Don?
Yeah, you go for it.
All right. So, Retro is a drifter who's lost his memories, and he's wandering in the noir back streets of Kansas City, splashing around, and he doesn't know who he is, where he is, what's going on, but he has this one terrible memory of a crime involving a kid, and he knows that he's connected to it somehow, but he's not sure how. And the only other thing that he also knows is that he's got this device that's embedded in his forearm that he can press for a few seconds to go back in time for a few seconds. So if he holds it down for 5 seconds, he goes back in time for 5 seconds. The only problem is that the longer he presses it, the more pain it causes him, and the more scrambled his memories become. And so he tries to use this device to track down the mystery of his life and this kid and his connection to this kid. And he tries to find the kid, use the device, and ends up kicking some ass along the way. That's the basic elevator pitch. Is that right, Don? Is there anything else left?
No, that's the thing is like we do sell you this as an ass-kicking time traveling hero story. And it definitely is about a man who wakes up in a fugue state and just has these fragments of his memory that he's trying to piece together and trying to figure out his life and where he stands in the world. But even beyond that, what I think Aaron has put together is a really fantastic tale about relationships, in particular the father-son story. And so if you're out there and you have that bond, whether it is father or son, or whoever with a relative or maybe a close personal friend, we hope you see that part of the story too, and really get into it because of that. And it's really about the lengths you would go to for somebody that you love, or in some cases, in this particular case, that you just have a strong emotional attachment and you're not quite clear what it is or where it comes from. And even in that uncertainty, we still have a certain amount of faith that we have, that we're going to try to do the right thing and come through. And I think that's the hero's journey. That's the story that Aaron is getting at. And he's done a really good job, and there's a lot of twists and turns. So yeah, we can't wait for you guys to see it.
And there's another character who's a detective, and she's tracking down the clues to the case of a bunch of missing children. And she has a partner, and she even says to the partner, how could a father be involved in something like this? How could they, he's a suspect, Retro is a suspect. And how could he do this? And he basically says, well, let me flip it on you. What wouldn't a father do?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's sort of the idea that we're going, what wouldn't a father do for their son or because of their son? And it's a film noir, so it's a little bit on the dark side.
So, how many issues is the story? Is it a mini, 5-part, 6-part? How many parts do you guys have planned, or is it an ongoing type of story?
I think Aaron has it planned as a maxi series, is what we're looking at. So 12 issues, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going. But we're going to take it, page by page, book by book. So the first step is to get this first one out there, to make sure people pick it up, read it, enjoy it, and ask when the next one is going to come out. And the second issue is getting lined up, cleaning up that script. We already have a lot of that thumbnailed out. And so we're going to tweak it. And so, we'd love to see where this first one takes us and takes people to, and then jump on that second issue.
And we're building towards an ending that I really love. And, Don knows about it. It's really a great ending. And so we're definitely building towards that. It's not an ongoing forever. It's
Mm-hmm.
We're work our way towards this ending.
Okay. So the Kickstarter kicks off on the 21st, correct, of June?
Yep, June 21st.
And we'll just say today because that's probably around the time that I'm going to release this. So.
Perfect.
Okay. So what kind of reward levels are you offering backers to support your project?
Well, I think we have a little bit of something for everybody. The rewards are going to be as simple as digital comics to the physical copy. We're going to have 2 covers. We'll have a regular cover that is drawn, inked, and colored by myself, all the way up to a special remix that I did of actor Reno Wilson from Mike and Molly playing the part of Retro. So there is a short film component to this. As we mentioned, it originally started as a motion comic short film, and now the live action is being done with actor Reno Wilson from Mike and Molly and Good Girls playing the lead character. So Aaron has this amazing upshot of Reno as Retro, and my buddy Marcus Newsom and I had done this graffiti piece for the shoot, and I remixed it a little bit so that we get the title of Retro right behind Reno, and hopefully we'll be able to make a foil cover or add a special effect or a special treatment to that cover to give supporters something special that they can look forward to. And I think we're going to have that as a stretch goal. But, from that physical comic and on, we go all the way up into rewards like, we'll have magnets at one level and stickers, all the way up to really big ticket items. One that Reno requested is that there will be sort of this like breaking bread with Reno and the creative team moment where we will, if you're local to us and you can support at this level, it'll be fantastic because you'll basically get to hang out with Aaron, Reno, and myself. We'll talk about the creative process of bringing this project to life, have a hang, maybe grab a coffee or some lunch, and you'll get your own personal screening of the short with the team. And in addition to that, as a commemorative memento of the project, you'll get your own autographed CGC graded signature series book of the Reno variant, live action variant cover. So we're doing that as a special thing. And then there's tiers where you can get original art from me. There will be 10 original pieces that I will be doing for the campaign. And one of the crazy other offerings is you can have Reno record a personal message for you, which I think is a really cool feature that Aaron and Reno discussed and got on to be at one of the tiers. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's all right there.
Yeah. I know that on your Facebook you have been kind of promoting, and I love the way you're doing like the old timey movie trading cards
Yeah.
with different, that's I just want to say that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I still have all my old Star Wars cards, and so that's basically what those are. I take the frame from the Star Wars
Yeah.
card, and I put in pictures of the making of Retro, as storyboard, or everyone who's been involved. Because we're really filled with gratitude because, making a project like this comes with the support of a whole community of people. And so going up to this Kickstarter campaign, it's given us an opportunity to reflect on everyone who's helped us so far and has really devoted their own creative energies, whether it's the guy who composed the original music for our little animated short, or a friend who decided he was going to act in our live action, or it's just a long list of people who have really been there to support us in our creative journey. And so making these fake trading cards as a way to sort of chronicle the journey that Retro and Don and I have been on to get to where we are here at Chad's podcast, has been a long struggle, quite frankly, but a very gratifying one, and one that I'm just so happy that people have been able to share. And it's nice to be able to tell that story as well.
And on your Kickstarter page, you also have the other members of your team, your colorist and your letterer. You want to talk a little bit about them and how you guys, maybe know where you guys know them from?
Well, I think Jerome, you already know, as he's been involved in all the Orange Cone productions. So we were able to snag Jerome Gagnon away for a little bit from Travis Gibb to help us letter. I've already colored and lettered 10 pages. We originally sent the project out to pitch, but we're so antsy and we just want to get it out there that we're like, well, let's just put the comic out there. So Jerome was able to come on board, and he'll be lettering the book for us. And then the other person is the amazing Ellie Wright. She does colors for a lot of people, including my friend David Avalone, who writes for Betty Page and Elvira. So she's colored for those books. She's currently doing Immortal Red Sonja, I believe. She's done Batman the Shadow. She's just killer. So she's helping out with the rest of the pages as well. And she's taking care of some edits as we speak. And that'll be coming back around soon. And then we'll be finishing with letters. So, yeah, shout out to those two. And, again, I know Jerome through Travis. So shout out to Orange Cone Productions. I believe Cthulhu Invades Wonderland is about to drop. And Cthulhu Invades Neverland is ramping up for production, and Holiday Spirits 2 is going to be coming down the pipeline in the next few months as well. So we're excited about that.
So is there anything else maybe about the project that maybe I didn't ask you about that you guys wanted to mention, or want people to know about?
Well, so we've sort of touched on a little bit, but so there's different stages of the project. It started off with storyboards, which led to the animated short. At the festival, Reno Wilson, who's an actor who is in Mike and Molly and Good Girls and has and a whole bunch of other things, came up to us and said, hey, I really like this a lot. We should do a live action version of this and show it around in Hollywood. And I was like, great, let's do it. And so we did shoot, a 5-minute short, basically live action, which has now been edited and colored and has its own music and cast and the whole 9 yards, and is being submitted to festivals around the country as we speak. And so there's that. And so Don, who's, always been very enthusiastic in this process, says, come on, Aaron, we got to make this into a comic book. And I was like, sure, let's do that. And so I think it's really fun to it's fun and frustrating to think about the different ways to get a project to make a dent in the zeitgeist, because there's a lot out there and there's so many people clamoring for your attention. And so I think it's a good idea for creators like us and anyone who's listening to just sort of attack the media out there with as much as they can. And that's how we're going. And I just sort of feel like each project sort of builds on the next. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like this comic book has grown from those other projects as well, and is going to be the greatest creation that we've had so far. I'm very excited about it.
Oh yeah, we should actually talk about that. Is the other thing is I mentioned that we are doing a private screening with Reno, but the other part is you as a backer, if you're going to back this project, you will probably be among the first people to see that live action short, as well as be able to watch the original animated short that we did, because the chances are this project, this Kickstarter campaign will probably finish before we know about submissions to the film festival. So that's a little bit of a bonus, I think, for backers out there. Is not only are you getting comics and digital comics, as well as some amazing pinups by our friends Marcus Newsom and Don Walker. Shout out to those guys too. And, just a great comic in general, but you're also going to be able to be entertained by our shorts. And, like Aaron said, shorts can only take you so far. The shorts, I believe each one was only about 5 or 6 minutes, right, Aaron?
Yeah.
And so we want to bring you that world, and we want to add more depth and more meat to the bones of the story. And that really, in terms of the budget and what we can accomplish as independent creators ourselves, with Aaron and me, like that, the best way to do that is through the medium of comics. And, people always joke about comics. It's like, it's an unlimited budget. And sure, if you're investing your own sweat equity, it definitely is. But ultimately, it affords us the opportunity to bring visuals to you that we otherwise would not be able to do unless you farmed it out to an amazing effects house or like got Weta involved. But comics gives you that opportunity as long as you can invest and the budget permits and your creative team is able to execute it. There is, sky's the limit in terms of imagination and possibility and rendering and people seeing things different ways and bringing out new things. And I think you're definitely going to see that with retro in terms of how we handle time travel and the time stream. I think, we've done something fun with it, and it's going to be new.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, how was it, going from being, you said you were a screenwriter. How was it going from being a screenwriter to writing for the comic book page? What, was it challenging for you to kind of, I don't know,
make the jump,
map everything out? And
Right. Well, so what's interesting is that at first I thought it was going to be super easy. I was just going to take the short that I had worked really, really hard on, which was like, 8 pages long, and sort of just transcribe it into comic book format, basically. But as I went forward, I realized that it wasn't easy, and that there's a whole art to it. And I think that, like, for example, and Don really helped me with this, is like, in the movies, you can jump around from location to location, back and forth, cross-cutting back and forth. I'm an film editor by trade, so that's second nature to me. But in the comic book world, you need to it's best if you can compartmentalize a scene and say everything you need to in that scene very quickly and as simply as possible before you move on to the next. You can't be jumping back and forth between the scenes. I suppose you could, but it's a little confusing for a comic book reader. It's a different language. Yeah. And so I think that learning that language came and is great. And I think that being a comic book writer is also challenging, because you walk this tightrope where you want to tell this story that you've seen in your head, and you can visualize every little detail, but you're working with an artist who has their own vision and has their own creative ideas and sparks. And so you don't want to go overboard explaining every little tiny thing that's in your head. You want to give them an opportunity to bring their artistic vision to it. And so that can be a little bit challenging because, you know, a story like Retro, which in some ways has a certain time loop challenges and issues in it. There are certain things as the writer that I know have to happen to get to A to B to C to D. And so I want to make sure that Don knows all about those things, but I also don't want to inhibit him from bringing his vision to it. And thank God, because, you know, I just think that, you know, his artistic ideas are really exciting, and just like little things have really helped tell the story. For example, in the short that we shot, Retro gets hit. He's in an alleyway. He gets hit by a baseball bat. He blocks it with his briefcase, and the briefcase goes flying. And that's, you know, fine for the movie. And then Don's like, no, we need, the briefcase is like his weapon. He needs to be using it during the fight. It's more of an opportunity. It's not something that just goes bouncing away from him right in the beginning. And I realized, oh yeah, that's right, that's cool. And so further versions of the screenplay have incorporated a lot of these ideas. And so now Retro uses this metal briefcase as a weapon, and he keeps it with him at all times. And there's not only like what's in the briefcase, but it's also a way for him to defend himself. Does that answer the question at all? I don't even know.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's was a great explanation. Don, do you have, you know, anything to add? I mean, you know, with working and coaching him through.
Yeah, this project has always been a collaboration between Aaron and myself, and now, you know, in terms of live action, Reno has been kind enough to jump on board and lend his time. But in terms of what Aaron writes, and he's taken to comic book writing, by the way, a lot faster than a lot of other people I've worked with who are transitioning from screenwriting to comic book writing. He's done a very good job with that. And the other person I would give kudos and shout outs is my buddy Mike Corpy, who also comes with a very similar background and has made the transition to comic book writing as well. And they've gotten to that point where, you know, they always say about a page is worth about a minute of screen time for screenwriting, whereas in comics it's about the moment, about the object, about that instance that you want to focus on. So, you know, a page can be filled with a ton. It can be an infinite amount of moments on that one page. It could be 4 moments that you want to focus on in particular. And Aaron has done a good job of picking and choosing what he wants to translate and have that be on the page. But yeah, like he says, I feel like in our process of collaborating, he's been inspired to think about things differently. And I know he's working on a novelization aspect of Retro as well. And he's really seen each particular project, whether it's the comic, the film aspect, or his novelization, each has you know, continuous or you know, a theme that runs throughout, and obviously the same characters. But in terms of how he treats it, and you know, what entertains and how it entertains in each particular medium, he's doing a good job of separating that out, parsing it out, and making sure he just concentrates on that particular medium to have it executed well. And, you know, I kudos to him. But yeah, it's going to be fun to show you guys what the differences are between the storyboards, how the storyboards go to the short, the animated short, how that goes and translates into the live action, and then how different that is from the comic. And I'm going to be sharing that. Aaron's going to be sharing that. You guys are going to get to see that, because not everything is the same. We do not go frame to panel and panel to frame exactly in each, you know, transition to the other medium. I posted a few images where you do get to see some of the similarities, but there are moments that are not in the comic that are only in the shorts. whether it be the animated version or the live action version. And I think that's really cool. And, that's one of those things that I feel like comic book fans, we always talk about when we watch like, the Marvel movies, the DC movies, or like any of the television shows. It's like, how true to the page is it? How true are these character costumes? And sometimes you got to think about like how things translate and like how it'll look on screen or how people will react to it. And I think Aaron is doing a good job of compartmentalizing each medium and figuring out how that works. So if you look, at how Reno is dressed as Retro, that's not how, my character designs for the original short are done, or even between how the original short storyboards were versus the comic book, they're slightly different as well. And I think, in the comic book, there's a little more nuance to his costume, his outfit, his ensemble, and, how he carries himself. And there's a certain amount of swagger, whereas, with the storyboards, we were just trying to get through them quick so that, Aaron could have an idea of what he wanted to shoot.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, and it works the opposite way in that, Retro is a story about time travel and this guy going back in short spurts of time. And in film, you can just you can show it very easly. Things are always rolling in backwards or something like that. It's very easy to see, and as a writer, that's the story. That I can't undo that. I can't change that. And so so Don's like, well, how am I supposed to? I'm like, well, I don't know, Don. You're just gonna have to figure it out, So that's a challenge to him too. And I think that's kind of a fun little thing too. I think.
Yeah, I mean, time travel in comics has essentially been Superman walking backwards, or the Flash like running backwards, or whatever it is, right? And or you do the narrative jump where you go, here he is now. 20 seconds before that, we like go back in time. And I think you're going to see, in particular, there's a double page spread. It's actually the very first double page spread I've ever drawn, where we're going to give you the full brunt of time travel in a comic book. And I hope it translates well. And I hope people are amused by how it's executed, because I think it's different. I think it's cool. And we'll leave it at that. So can't wait for people to back the project and get that comic in their hands.
Yeah, and the other part of the story that I really wanted to mention is that, it all, the story of Retro, besides, at the heart of it is a father and son relationship story, but it also deals with the ideas of mental illness and trauma and memory loss. And I think those are very strong themes in this story as well.
Very cool. So let's, kind of wrap it up here. And if you guys want to go work together and give one final pitch, and also where people can find you on the social networks, and we'll end it that way. And best of luck to you guys on your upcoming Kickstarter, which just started.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, so I would just like to say that my big pitch is to, when you go into the Kickstarter page, click that, am I pointing the right way? No. Click that button that shows the video that Don and I made, and it sort of shows the different things that we've been talking about, and it shows you the fun that we've been having and where we want it to go and who we are and things like that. It's something that will maybe inspire you to do your own stories and your own Kickstarter campaigns. I think that it's a real opportunity for all of us artists to get our stories told and to be part of a community that supports each other and enables everyone to, get out their work to the world. And so I'm just really proud of what we've accomplished so far, and I really want us to be able to go further with this story. It's something that means a lot to me, and I'm really grateful to everyone who's helped us, and to you, Chad, for having us on this podcast to give us an opportunity to sort of tell not just our stories and Retro stories, but the stories of all of us who are trying to, who are in love with comic books and art and storytelling. So that's my big pitch. That's all I really have to say. What about you, John?
We have invested so much time into doing this. We did this, we started, I want to say in like 2018, 2017, and got it onto screen in 2019. And then to come full circle in this way, I'm very proud of this project. I believe Aaron is very proud of this project. And we really can't wait for you to see this. And like I said, if you are a fan of things like Looper, Memento, the Bourne series, if you like noir, cyberpunk a little bit, this is going to be that story for you. I think you're going to enjoy it. The other part that I feel is really important too is that we have a complicated, complex character, protagonist that is a person of color, that is Black. And, we are also trying to break that stereotype of that absentee father that we all know is just BS. We know plenty of fathers. Reno is one of those people who is a father, and he has an amazing relationship with his kids and his family. And we want to bring stories like that to life as well. And the other part is, not everything is black or white, which is funny because most of the comic is black or white, but it's also gray. There's a lot of gray tones, and we're going to explore the gray areas in this comic. So I hope you guys can come on board. The other part of the pitch is we have early bird rewards, which is free shipping for a few of our physical reward tiers in the first 48 hours. So please come give us a strong start. If this is dropping on day one, be part of our day one, even our day two. Do what you can. And if you back, please do me a favor. If you back, please share from the campaign page. Go back there. Once you back, become a backer, there will be a comment section that will open up for you. Just do us a favor. Please leave a comment and share. It'll show Kickstarter that you love this idea, that you love this project, and would love to see it come back for more. And let all your friends know if you think this is cool. Aaron and I think it's cool. We've shown it to other people who've convinced us to bring the project further along, and we would love just to get this baby out into the world. And we think you guys are in for a storytelling treat and a visual treat.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again for taking the time to talk about the project. It looks very exciting, and I can't wait to read it. And, maybe we'll check back when you guys are, down the road, when you guys are kickstarting the later issues.
Oh, we would appreciate that. And, thank you, just like Aaron said, so much, for being a supporter of indie comics. Obviously, I've been on the show 2 other times, and you are always such a great friend to the community. Oh, and I also forgot, if anybody's going to Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina, the 24th through the 26th, I'll be there, and look for me at San Diego Comic-Con as well. I'll be on a panel every day, I believe, of San Diego Comic-Con.
Nice.
Very, very nice. All right, well, guys, have a good evening. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll be in touch, and good luck.
You as well. Thank you so much.
All right.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Dad.
Thank you.
Bye.